Her days were a barrage of constant demands, requests, approvals, decisions coming from every single direction and very unpredictable, just all over the place. Does that sound familiar to you? I know it does. For many of the women that I serve and that we serve, this is the case, right? You're using your brain as a primary project management system. Her highest level work, probably like you if you're in this place, was getting squeezed into whatever tiny cracks remained in her day, which is very little. She was carrying this, which she described as this constant fear of balls getting dropped. Like, I'm going to forget about something important. Things are going to fall through the cracks, right? And nobody wants that feeling. And yet, when there's a lot going on, it's really easy to get into that place.
Overwhelm, reaction mode, and just keeping up are the old way.
You need real, root-level strategies and practical steps to grow your business or ministry without exhaustion and burnout.
Hi there, we're Anna Saucier
And Megan Gephardt,
best friends and business consultants who help faith-filled women create sustainable growth through simple strategy with a people-first approach.
Here at Apostolic Fruit, we hope to offer you clarity, support, accompaniment, and healing,
one tiny step at a time.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Apostolic Fruit Podcast. This is Megan Gephardt, and we are going to have an important conversation today. This is something that I see often, and more often than I'd like to see, but something that doesn't get talked about often enough. And maybe it's going to make you feel just a little bit seen in a way that is maybe equal parts uncomfortable and also relieving at the same time. So here's the deal. If you have started with a vision and maybe it was really scrappy, maybe it was a little bit terrifying, maybe it was carried mostly by conviction, but just that clear sense of God calling you to this, and probably an alarming amount of caffeine at the same time. And even in a conversation the other day, I was like, okay, if you didn't know what you were getting into, it's almost better than if you had to do it all over again, knowing what you were going to do, because you may not have started if you knew all that it was going to take. So you had that big vision and the people came, the ideas flowed, things were bearing fruit, like real fruit, real impact, and more people came. And then maybe you kept building that thing and it's taken on a life of its own and something beyond what you could have even imagined at the start. Does that sound familiar? And so now you're at a place where you're a respected leader in your field. This is your life's work in many ways, and you are brilliant at what you do. And yet somewhere in all of it, without even really meaning to, without anyone asking you to do this, it just happened that you became the system that is holding everything together. So stay with me here, because if that's you, we need to talk. The strain is probably showing up in different ways at this point, right? And I say this with full love and zero judgment, because I've seen this time and time again, and you're not alone in any of this. And there's so much of this that it's not a failure. It's not you being not cut out for this, none of those things. It's just a byproduct of growth. And so if this is what's actually happening in your day-to-day, I see you and I get it. And so that strain is showing up, and it may be subtle or it may be really big and overwhelming, but it's there. And maybe decisions feel heavier than they used to, or maybe there's more initiatives and moving pieces and projects and a lot more people looking to you for the answer or for what to do or for direction. And the work that you most need to be doing, that visionary, relational, high-level work that only you can do, that you're best at, it keeps getting crowded out by everything that feels urgent. And so it's like pushed to the bottom of this pile by everything that feels on fire right now, right? And so maybe you've told yourself some version of, okay, once things calm down, I'm going to get to that. Once things calm down, I'm going to figure all this out. When we get through this next thing, like I finally have some breathing room. Friend, things are not going to calm down on their own. You know this. I know this. Look at your calendar. It will tell you this, right? And so this is really, really common, and it's a very little talked about season of life in a growing organization. And again, it doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It just means that you've hit a threshold. And so what does this threshold actually look like? Let's talk about that reality. It's very, very easy to misdiagnose this. at a certain stage, the challenge is no longer growth itself. The challenge is now the complexity that surrounds growth. So all those kind of informal systems and processes that carried you here, maybe it was more like instinct, a momentum, really committed, loyal team members, a lot of late nights, and a whole heck of a lot of prayer, like a heroic amount of prayer, right? Those things are straining now under the weight of how much it's grown. And so now you're at a place where priorities are often competing. You've got blurred roles between key leaders or team members. Everything is finding its way back to you because there's no clear structure telling each question or task or decision where it belongs. And so everything then lands on your desk or on your phone or maybe in your brain at 2 a.m. when you're trying to sleep and you're like, wait, did anyone follow up on that thing? Or what are all these things that are just swirling around, right? And so you carry it all. And even when you've got great team members who are really committed and want to do their part, it's not that you're just bad at delegating or you just want to control everything. It's really that the structure hasn't kept pace with the growth. The structure hasn't kept pace with the mission and how it's evolved over time. And so that gap is widening. And that gap, when it goes unaddressed, guess what happens? The leader, you, as the founder, absorbs the cost. And then any key leaders, maybe who work very closely with you or underneath you, are also going to bear the cost. And so you will feel that. The other aspect that happens is it comes at a significant expense to the work that only you can do. You don't have time for that anymore. Everything else is crowding it out. So if this feels familiar to you, I want to share a story about a client that I've worked with really recently who is living this exact reality because I think it's so helpful to hear, what did we do together? Like, what was her experience like and what did we do to solve for these issues? Because I hope that it can give you hope and it can give you permission and maybe even unshame some of this experience, right? So from the outside, her organization was thriving. I mean, they had so many initiatives that had expanded significantly in a short amount of time. Her team had grown, basically doubled over the span of 1 to 2 years, a tremendous impact on the families and the women that she served. And so by every external measure, things are going really well. But then in the day-to-day, the inside, it was a lot. Everything was really fragmented. Tasks were scattered all over the place. Sticky notes, her email inbox, a tablet that she brought to meetings, but then notes just kind of died afterwards, right? It never came to see the light of day. And more than anything else, everything was living in her head. Her days were a barrage of constant demands, requests, approvals, decisions coming from every single direction and very unpredictable, just all over the place. Does that sound familiar to you? I know it does. For many of the women that I serve and that we serve, this is the case, right? You're using your brain as a primary project management system. So we're going to talk about that. I see you. We're going to talk about this. Her highest level work, probably like you if you're in this place, was getting squeezed into whatever tiny cracks remained in her day, which is very little. Not only that, but she was carrying this, what she described as this constant fear of balls getting dropped. Like, I'm going to forget about something important. Things are going to fall through the cracks, right? And nobody wants that feeling. And yet, when there's a lot going on, it's really easy to get into that place. So for her, and what it might be the case for you too, the root issue when we really started to dig in was that her communication patterns hadn't grown with the organization as it grew, as the mission and the projects expanded, right? They had more initiatives, they had more people, more complexity. So everything, every question, every friction point, every decision was finding its way back to her, right? Because of course it was. Where else was it going to go? So here's what we did together. Here's what we redesigned together inside strategic mapping. We started by slowing down, which I know it sounds counterintuitive when everything feels really urgent, but it's often the most critical, the most important thing that you can do. So we slowed down. We got really honest about what her week actually looked like versus what it needed to look like for her to do her highest impact work. Because those things are not the same, right? And then what we did was we rebuilt her communication patterns because they weren't serving her or the team anymore. They were a good fit for a previous version, a less mature version of their organization and their mission. And so when we redesigned those then from the ground up, it looked basically like, okay, what belongs where? What could be batched? What needs to be restructured? We then created 2 very simple recurring meetings that did something super powerful. I really want you to hear me on this. They separated strategic thinking from the operational day-to-day execution. Let me say that again. They separated the strategic thinking, the big picture, high-level questions, decisions, direction, clarity. They separated that, which is a leadership function really, from the operational execution, the day-to-day minutia of action items, what's blocked, what needs to be decided to keep moving forward this week and the next week's priorities. Like that's a very short time horizon. That's operational execution. When your meetings are blurring those 2 things together, it means that those strategic level conversations, they keep getting derailed by operational details, right? And then operational details wait on strategic clarity. So neither really has what it needs and neither was happening well. And I say this with no shame, but just full awareness of this can happen so often if we're not careful. And if we don't continually just evolve to make sure that there is a clear scope and a clear purpose for every meeting. And we even revamped this past year within our own organization, and just tremendous difference when we really create these distinctions for ourselves. And so what we did was we fixed that. So people weren't leaving, she and others weren't leaving these meetings feeling like, well, we talked about a lot, we covered a lot of ground, but we were not really getting anywhere, She was like, I don't want updates. I want things that drive decision-making. I want things that drive momentum and forward progress. And of course you do, right? And so we fixed that. And what we did also was we created one shared space for decisions and tasks to live between meetings. So things weren't getting lost in the shuffle between messages, inbox, sticky notes, and like mental Post-it notes. You know what I mean? And then the other thing was that we addressed this other source of friction that was kind of underlying and was growing for a while. Really the daily kind of rhythm and relationship between her and her key coordinator. They were in this almost near constant back and forth throughout the week in Teams messages. They're both working really hard and constantly talking, but both feeling out of sync. It's interesting, right? You could be talking all the time, but still feeling out of sync on the important things. And so what we did was we restructured those interactions so that they became really focused and forward moving instead of what ended up being a drain for everyone. And then another thing that we did was we added a protected Monday morning prioritization block for her. It's like this little sacred space for her to set her own intentions before the week could dictate them for her, right? Before she opened her email inbox on Monday and it's like, now you're just flowing with whatever direction the wind takes you, but you're guiding that, you're leading the prioritization for yourself and for the organization and for the team. So we defined, what does she need to review during that time, right? What does she really need to think about when she puts on her leadership hat? And that's something that I highly recommend. If you're not already doing that, and if you're not zooming out to the higher level as you begin the week, and you're just reacting to what's in your inbox, then you're probably not spending your time on the most important things, the things that will actually move the needle forward and the things that only you can uniquely do. And so that was really important. Another thing that we did was we built a filter to clarify what needs to actually reach her and when, so that her team could stop defaulting to just pinging her all day long about things or sending approvals and stuff like that all the time. She had a specific time and place for those to go. She had a specific time and space where she was going to review them, and she was going to batch them. So she wasn't constantly context switching between those tasks and the deeper work that she really needed to spend time on. Finally, we mapped out all of her key projects, grants, key deadlines, initiatives into one visual so she could finally see where everything was overlapping and then better anticipate where capacity needed to go. Because as we're gathering all these key dates and deadlines and milestones, It was crazy, and it wasn't her fault or anything, but literally we're logging into portals to find deadlines. We are digging through emails to find key dates. And it's like, no wonder things are blindsiding her and she's feeling like she's reacting constantly to things that are coming right around the corner because you don't have one place where everything is consolidated. And so we spent the time to pull everything together. And that was so relieving to just see it all in one place. And now she can better anticipate, okay, wow, this month is going to be busy. This month I've got a lot of grants that are due. This quarter is going to require more focus from the team in these areas. You know what? I can lay groundwork for this effort in this quarter because we're going to need to, it's going to be an all hands on deck thing when you get to the next quarter, right? So you can see things in advance more when it's all in one place. So that was huge for her. So much tangible relief. Like it's a lot. Like when I talk through it, it sounds like a lot. But what I want to reassure you is that these are actually quite simple shifts, and yet they make a tremendous difference. They create so much space and open so much more capacity and breathing room for you as a leader and for the whole entire team. They bring so much more clarity within the organization, and these are often overlooked, underutilized shifts. And often these are the kinds of things that when your mission evolves, when your projects expand, when your team grows really fast, we have to let the structure catch up to it. And this is what it can look like. And I'm focusing a lot in her story on even just the communication architecture because that's what was the biggest friction point for her day to day. I wish you could see my body language, but it was causing so much constriction and tightness of she's just rapid fire responding to whatever was most urgent. And it was like, I can't breathe, I'm like being suffocated by everything that's just coming at me all the time. And if you're feeling that, then these are the types of shifts practically that make all the difference. And so if you've been kind of running on fumes, if you've been feeling like, I just need space, man, I can't even think straight. I can't even breathe, let alone lead, then these are the kinds of shifts that can really make a difference for you. And having space held to walk through, okay, what does it look like right now? And where can we bring some slight shifts that can truly open up that breathing room? And then it can be a ripple effect, right? It could be this domino effect of like more and more capacity opening up, more and more. Then it's more space for you to actually do the things you really want to do to move the needle forward and the impact you want to make, or those ideas that you're like, man, I never have time to actually pursue this next level vision because it's buried underneath the current chaos. If that's the case, then these are the kinds of shifts that bring that breathing room, right? And one really interesting aspect that emerged for her, it was like 2 sessions in, she said something that I thought was so powerful. And it was, okay, before this conversation, I would have said that what I need is more time to write grants and apply for grants. But now I see that I need to be spending more time on the relationship building side, building the right connections to move this bigger vision forward. That is huge because she came in thinking she had a too much on her plate problem, and she did, right? And we worked on that together. The fastest path through wasn't just more delegation or wasn't just like a better handle on her to-do list. Is this decisive structural reset? But then also, once that foundation was there that could hold the complexity that her organization was carrying, that she was carrying in her head, she now had real room to think and operate at the level that her mission depended on. That this vision, that bigger vision was asking of her. And so now suddenly she could see more clearly, not just like what are all the things that need to get done, right? But what she needed to be doing uniquely. And I really want to emphasize this for you. That's what structure does when it finally catches up. It doesn't just reduce that chaos, like to clean up that mess. That is a part of it, right? We untangle these knots and we unravel what's been tied together, and it's like really messy and hard right now and is bogging everybody down. It reduces the chaos and it frees the whole team, but then it returns you as the leader to the work that only you can do, that you uniquely are called to do, that you're designed to do by the Lord, that more visionary work, right? So let's turn it back to you right now. I want to invite you to reflect. Not every leader needs the same reset, but if this felt familiar to you, then I want to ask you a few questions and just really invite you to actually sit with them, not just like let them wash over you while you fold laundry or you're working out or you're doing stuff out and about, right? But really sit with these. So what does your day-to-day actually look like right now versus what would it need to look like for you to do your highest impact work? And be honest. Nobody's grading this. This is for you. What does your day-to-day actually look like right now versus what it would need to look like for you to be doing your highest impact, highest leverage work? This is the stuff that's really in your zone of genius, that it moves things forward for the organization, that's the greatest impact, that lights you up the most, right? Number 2, where are the decisions and the tasks living within your organization? Where are they actually living right now? Is there one clear place? Or are they maybe scattered across a whole bunch of different apps, notebooks, your brain, the middle of the night, pull out your notes app on your phone and write stuff down because it's just swimming around in there, right? Are things scattered and are they easy to lose? If everything is living in your head, then it's really hard for other people to have the clarity to move forward with initiative and to actually be proactive and feel like you're going to have breathing room. You're going to be really reactive if things are all living in your head. Okay. Are my meetings doing the right work? This is the next piece, like we talked about, right? Or maybe have those kind of strategic conversations and operational conversations just kind of like smushed together. Have they just been blurred over time into one big soup of a meeting? And again, this is just so natural for this to happen. And so there's zero shame in this, but just be really, really honest. Like, do my meetings feel like they're working? Are they effective? Do they move us forward? If not, then we can clean those up a little bit, right? And it can be as simple as, okay, our meeting's almost a like by exception thing. Like we're elevating issues, decision points, things that are stuck that need to get unblocked. So it's not just talking about all the things or sharing updates, like it's actually progressing us forward. And then the next question, what keeps finding its way back to you that probably shouldn't be coming back to you? Do you feel like you are holding a lot of decision weight right now? And maybe even like frustratingly so on the minutia decisions, right? I'm like, I don't care about this stuff. Like, just figure it out. If you feel that, then again, like this is just, it's something to be aware of and something that can be fixed. And then this one, is there a vision that you've been carrying in your heart, in your mind, that just hasn't had the space to actually come to fruition yet, or even just take shape yet? Because it's being buried right now. There's just no room for it. So these are just an invitation to be really honest with yourself. Give some honest attention to these areas, because this recognition of where you're at and what might need to shift, this is the clarity, the initial clarity that you need in order to determine, like, what do I even need moving forward, right? What does my organization need next? It helps you see yourself more clearly. It helps you see the organization more clearly. It helps you to just have a language for the struggle, right? And again, it's like one of the hardest places in organizational growth when you're at this kind of inflection point. So here's what I want to leave you with. The rhythms that we build within the organization are so important, because what happens is that those rhythms, the structure, absorbs the complexity of the growth. Or if you don't have the structure, or the structure just is inadequate, right? It passes that complexity on to the people at the top to carry. It passes that complexity on to the leaders. So then you end up absorbing it. And if you're feeling the strain, if you're feeling the cost, and you're at the place where you're like, man, I need this to work better. Man, this is not sustainable. Something needs to change. Like, I don't even know what it is, but like something's got to give here because I can't keep doing this in the way that I've been doing it. So if you're feeling that, then the rhythms and the structure needs to be revisited, right? It may simply be the time. And again, this is not a personal failure. It's just growth does this. Organizations normally outpace their structures. And this happens to brilliant, dedicated, deeply faithful women like you all the time. This is not a point where you just got to do more. And I know that sometimes that's counterintuitive because you're like, well, things aren't working like maybe they used to or whatever. And so I just got to throw more at it. Maybe I got to throw more people at it. I got to throw more at it to get the same results, right? Or whatever it is. But it's not that. It's often that the foundations, those rhythms and the systems need to support what you've built so that it doesn't have to be held up all on your shoulders anymore. It's gotten bigger than that. And now to expand that impact even more, we've got to tend to it. And so I know sometimes it stings a little to recognize, but it also can be clarifying and it can be freeing. And so I hope that for you, it gives you room to breathe, right? That's what we want. We want room to breathe. We want you to be in that place where you can be the visionary that God has designed you to be, that you're ready to step into more fully, as that's what this is asking of you. So this mission was never meant to be carried alone. It was never meant to be just you, right? And now that it's grown, the question is whether the structure around you is finally ready to grow with it so that you can be more supported, so that the mission can be more supported, so that everybody who's part of it can be more supported. So take that deep breath, let out that deep sigh, my friend. You don't have to keep holding this all by yourself. And if this resonated with you, maybe hit a little bit too close to home, and you're wondering whether you're at this threshold or you want to talk through what this kind of a reset could look like for your organization, then reach out to us. We'd love to walk alongside you. We'd love to support you in this. This is what we do, and we do it very well. And we really are here to meet you in what may feel really messy, what may feel like way too much. And we come alongside you in that. That's where we do our best work. We'd love to support you. So until next time, my friend, take good care of yourself and keep leading from the place that God is calling you to. That's the most important thing that you can do for everybody that you serve, for everybody on your team, for the good of this world as a whole, because that's what this is for, right? You want to change the world. That's why you're doing this work.
We hope you loved today's episode. If so, would you take a moment to share it with a friend?
If you haven't already, come connect with us human to human at apostolicfruit.com/connect. When you're ready, we'd love to support you more deeply.
May the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you,
and turn his face toward you and give you peace.